We're live with sound.
Today. And say what? Okay, I'll make sure that they know. Oh, okay.
So I was trying to grab.
So Chris is not on.
Chris is on.
Okay, so just leave this. Did you sign that already? Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Do what you gotta do. I go back home.
Can I go with you?
Sure. Here. Plug that in, please.
Yeah.
That power outlet's on.
Just let me know when you're ready.
Hi Liz, we're just getting ready to start.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, I will call this meeting to order. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can we have roll call, please?
Mayor Terry Wycombe,
Here.
Vice Mayor Steve Sanger,
Here.
Councilmember Darrell Gardner,
Here.
Councilmember Tanya Lumen,
Here.
Councilmember Ruth Bruce Seeloff,
Here.
Councilmember Chris Weisenberg,
Here.
Councilmember Jacqueline Wells. Thank you.
All right, so the next thing on our agenda is to approve the agenda. Vice Mayor Sanger.
I move to approve the September 17th, 2024 City Council agenda as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve this September 17th, 2024 City Council agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is the consent agenda. Councilman Weisenberg.
I move to approve the city consent agenda September 17th, 2024 as presented.
Second.
Been a motion made and seconded to approve the City Council agenda September 17th, 2024 as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is citizens' participation. This is a time when citizens are allowed to speak to us. They're pursuant to Resolution Number 2C-1996. It sets a time limit for public comment of 5 minutes for anything that is not on the agenda. And is there anybody here that would like to speak to us? If so, approach the podium, tell us your name, and sign in. Yes, ma'am, just come forward and come to the podium there and sign in and tell us your name.
Does this work? Okay. Do you need my address as well? Yes, please. Okay, that's gonna take a second here. Okay. Hello, thank you for taking time to let me speak. I've been here before. Some of you might recognize me, some of you might not. My name is Melissa Baca, and I bought a home three years ago here. And I'm here to complain about the water bill. I know you don't want to hear it. I'm really sorry, but when I moved here, my water bill is $58. It's $200. That's a 130% increase. So I don't know, I don't want to, rather than be a part of the problem, I'd like to be part of a solution. If you need help, do a fundraiser, a winter bazaar. Here's my phone number. Give me a call. I'm happy to do it. I know that the damage is done, and it's a done deal. And I understand what's going on with our water issues. And we're paying for past city manager mistakes, so we apologize that you're stuck with this hard ask. But I just want to say that, you know, if there's any chance to ever reconsider or lower that, please do it. I have a brother who paid $300, a nephew that paid $400. Last month his bill was $500. I have a family of 3, so, you know, $200 is a lot of money. I came from a huge city where my bill was $28. My brother lives in Casper, his bill is $57. Yikes. So that's all I have to say, and if you need any of my help, let me know. Because I know the damage is done, and we're not going to go anywhere else with it. It can't change. But if I could get a plan, Myra spent an hour and a half with me today. Thank you for that. It was really informative. So I'm a little less angry now because of her. And yeah, it's true. It's a group effort, but I do believe that people in this town love their city. and appreciate what you do for us, and I'm willing to step up. So if you need help, I'm volunteering, you know, in any way that we can do it. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? All right, we're going to move on to the next thing on the agenda, which is a proclamation for the Continental Divide Trail community. And this is a City of Rawlins, Wyoming proclamation. Whereas the Continental Divide, recognized as the king of trails, stretches 3,100 miles along the backbone of America and provides access to some of the most wild and scenic places left in the world. And whereas the City of Rawlins has been a designated Continental Divide Trail Gateway community for eight full years since September 2016. And whereas the designation as a Continental Divide Trail Gateway community is a catalyst for economic development. And whereas the Continental Divide Trail passes directly through the City of Rawlins, and whereas Rawlins is the first community to paint blazes on the sidewalk on the Continental Divide Trail, including painting in June of this year. And whereas the City of Rawlins and the Continental Divide Coalition recognize that the Rawlins community provides important access and resources along the Continental Divide Trail for nearby residents, thousands of regional visitors, and long-distance hikers. And whereas the City of Rawlins provides public transportation that provides valuable access through our community to both hikers and residents. And whereas the Rawlins community ambassadors, businesses, and organizations have provided support and outreach to the hundreds of Continental Divide Trail hikers throughout 2024. And therefore, the City of Rawlins does hereby urge all City of Rawlins residents to support the trail through programs, activities, and hospitality for its visitors. In witness thereof, I have hereto set my hand and caused the official seal of the City of Rawlins, Wyoming to be affixed this 17th day of September 2024. Terry Wycombe, Mayor.
Honorable Mayor, Council members, thank you for the opportunity. I just want to say, I'm Leslie Jefferson. Sorry for those of you that might be listening.
We know you, but
yes.
They don't.
I'm from Discover Carbon County. I was there at the beginning when we were trying to get it all put together, and I do want to make a shout out to Patty Hayes, who used to be our recreation director person that we really leaned into to get this job done, as well as the CDTC, so that's the Continental Divide Trail Coalition. Liz Schmidt is here with us, as well as, oh gosh, Janita. Sorry, Janita.
It's not personal.
Yes, it's not. We also have a couple of ambassadors to help me.
Amanda Strand.
Amanda Strand and Megan McComas. Unfortunately, Megan couldn't attend tonight. Yeah, so we try to meet monthly-ish, but I want to give some time to Liz as well.
Thank you so much, and thanks everyone for this evening. It's really a great honor to work with the City of Rawlins as a gateway community. I'm Liz Schmidt. I'm the Community and Outreach Program Manager at the Continental Divide Trail Coalition. So part of my job is managing our gateway community program and ensuring that there's, this mutually beneficial relationship between locals and trail towns along the divide, as well as those traveling through on the trail. And Rawlins has been one of our earliest gateway communities, and I've just seen it flourish, and the love that the community really puts into making it a welcoming place for these people passing through on the trail, whether they're on it for a long time, doing the entire journey from Mexico to Canada, or whether they're passing through on a section or day hike, and seeing the increase in awareness from locals as well about the trail has just been amazing. And I know the Gateway Community team of volunteers that I and my team here at CDT Coalition meet with monthly, quarterly. We're just amazed at everything that the community puts on. So yeah, just echoing the sentiments tonight, it's really great to have the community of Rawlins be really either the first or last gateway community that people encounter in Wyoming. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for all your volunteer work. It's awesome. We see a lot of hikers. All right. So the next thing on our agenda is the Community Builder Award for September. And I will turn the floor over to the Community Builder Award Committee or Volunteer Committee.
Hello, Mr. Mayor and Council. As you know, the Community Builder Award is a monthly award the city presents to local individuals, businesses, and organizations for their volunteer service, sponsorship, promotion of programs and events, outstanding service in the interest of the city, and for other contributions significant to the quality of Rawlins life. The Volunteer Committee would like to present the September 2024 Community Builder Award to Windswept Goods and Carbon Coffee. I think my resume.
Don't be bad.
So I'm speaking for Pam tonight. She got called to a meeting unexpectedly. So Pam wrote this up after speaking with Amanda and Wayne. We are so excited tonight to present the Windswept Goods and Carbon Coffee, the Community Builder Award for September. Amanda and Wayne have such pride in the Rawlins community. Both have served on various boards and are committed to Rawlins. They most appreciate the caring people of the community and feel the key ingredient for a vibrant, connected, and engaged community is through communication. Both businesses, Windswept Goods and Carbon Coffee, are a true testament to why they are the winners this month. They purchase tired downtown buildings and put them back in productive reuses that meet the needs of our community. Another example is they continue to put their money back into making the downtown and Rawlins a better place to live. They listen to the needs of the community and then they act. They envision a future for the Rawlins community that is strong and flourishing with growth and opportunities. Congratulations and well deserved. And they're donating their donation on their behalf is to St. Christopher's Highway. Oh, then we'll take a picture. Well, you can hold that.
This is for.
Sure, I can do council and pick a cheese. Congratulations again.
That award is well deserved. Both places are amazing. The coffee shop, I was in it for the first time and very impressive, as well as the store, I might add. All right, so the next thing on our agenda is City Council reports and ward updates. The first one is Ward 1, and that's my ward, and Carbon County Council of Government is the board that I sit on. We have not had a meeting since the last, we have not had a COG meeting since the last meeting. We have that tomorrow night in Hannah. I was thinking tomorrow night. Yeah, it's tomorrow night in Hannah. And then I'll have a report for the next meetings or so. In Ward 1, there's not a whole lot of updates other than we did get the rezoning done for the BLM, and I look forward to seeing them build their barracks, fire station, and helipad over there. And that's all I really have. And so I will move on to Councilmember Seeloff. He's on the Board of Adjustments and also Board 1.
Our next meeting ain't until Thursday night. We're having our next meeting. One of the big complaints I've had from people the last few days is because the radio announced the other day that we eliminated the antelope for our logo. There have been a lot of people calling me wanting to know about all of that. So I don't know what we're going to do there to make sure that people know that we still have the antelope, still our logo. So yeah, according to him on the radio the other day, he announced that Rawlins got rid of the antelope. So yeah. So and like I said, I had several people call me wanting to know if we did. So okay.
Need to get rid of the radio. Yeah. Sorry.
We had talked about that whole thing with rebranding, and we were pretty adamant as a council that the antelope was to stay. So that's.
Like I say, that's all I know. I actually listed it too, and yeah.
Okay, so the next thing is the Urban Systems Committee and Ward 2 update from Councilmember Garner.
I don't have any updates.
All right, we will go to Ward 2 update, Councilmember Lumen.
Yeah, I was just wondering, where are we at in a report about the fire behind the car dealership? Do we know what caused it, the problem with the hydrant and the communication? And when can we expect a report on that?
The matter is actually still being prosecuted by the county attorney's office, so release of that information hasn't been made public at this time.
Okay, do you know approximately when?
I cannot have,
Okay.
I have no idea how that criminal matter will proceed.
I understand, lawyers are, no offense, but slow.
All but you.
Yeah. Also, I would like to thank the employees who worked over Labor Day weekend on those broken pipes. Cody Dill, Mike O'Brien, Robert Newell, and forgive me if I mispronounce your name, Joe Langdon-Durfer, Steve Wilkins, Stevie Osborne, Bud Dominic, and Marcelo Sanez. You just exemplify the best of our employees, and I just wanted to thank them by name. Thank you.
Is that it?
That's it.
All right, thank you. The next one is DDA, Main Street, and Ward 3 updates from Vice Mayor Sanger.
Okay, this could get a little long. We had a regular meeting yesterday for the DDA. We covered usual business, downtown lighting project updates, snowflake, workshop times. I wrote it down because I have a cold and I took some medicine and now I don't know where I am. Some possible changes to Art Beat and holiday festival timings. We had completed our audits and our F-32 paperwork, which makes us compliant with the state regulations. We had more discussion on forward motion on the Ferguson building, repairs to be done, and possible use conversations. We had a scheduled visit from the state Main Street program and were given new reporting requirements for the state Main Street program and timelines for those completions. It was a really constructive meeting, good information moving forward for the new guidelines. The most exciting news from our meeting was that we had an auction of a painting that was donated to the DDA from the Bank of the West upon the bank's closure. So I'm going to give you a little history about this painting because it's gorgeous. The painting was an oil on board 48-inch by 48-inch Conrad Schwerin of the Tetons viewed from the Snake River overlook. If you've ever seen the Ansel Adams black and white picture, that's the Snake River overlook. That's what that is. So he did a painting of there, and it was commissioned by the Bank of the West to be painted in 1962. It's the only painting that we know of that overlook that he's done, and he's done many of them from the overlook, but that's the only one that was ever done in the fall. We were looking to have this painting put up for auction, so we searched out auction houses, that sold Conrad Schwerin paintings to see if they would have any interest in helping us present this piece for auction. Jackson Hole Art Auction contacted us with great interest as they are one of the most knowledgeable and frequent auctioneers of Conrad Schwerin's work. They put together a great marketing plan with lots of visible print work and appropriate auction timing, as in they just had the auction in the fall for a fall painting. And the painting had a starting reserve of $15,000, an overall estimated sale value of $30,000 to $50,000. At the close of auction on this Saturday, the painting sold for $110,000. Somebody got lucky, we don't know who. We are extremely pleased with the efforts of the Jackson Hole Art Auction House and the outcome of the outstanding auction that they put on. We will now sit down with the rest of the board and work our way forward what to do with these funds and where they need to go and what projects we already have in the works and how to use that funding for them. That deals with the DDA side. The Ward 3 side will deal mostly with just the Island Park watering system. It's just an update and how we can use this system now to do cemetery irrigation system updates. So it's a tiny park, so it's a test before you invest kind of system. And essentially all we did was take it out of what it was used, how it was used, which was Bluetooth and the little boxes, which are $500 a piece, and sit down where there's water. When the battery runs out, they lose their programming, and nobody knows how to reprogram them currently. So we, I guess it's me and myself, we reset the park to run solely on solar power. We put the program together, run a test, and then turned it on and walked away for 3 months. It ran every single day for very short periods of time, but it ran every single day flawlessly. Rain, shine, no sun, with sun. Had no problems. Nikki called me and told me that they turned the water off. So I went and turned the system off and pulled the battery. So it's now closed in. It's all done. They have to just blow out the water. How this would work in regards to the cemetery is the problem with the cemetery is it has no mechanical valves. It has no way to turn it on and off without you reaching in a box and turning a valve. We can use the same exact system where we use solar that controls a valve. Now, unfortunately, the cemetery has 50 valves, 50 separate valves. But a couple of years ago, Jason had invited me down with the park supervisor, Nate, to turn on the system the very first time, beginning of the summer. And he turned on the system and then turned on 5 sections at once. Now, I've lived here 18 years and I've only ever seen one on at a time. But all 5 are on, and I'm like, here's an idea. So about 4 months ago, Nikki, is that about right? 4 months ago, you and I started talking about how do we bundle 5 sections at a time and run 1 valve. And what this would do was take our 50 valves down to 10 valves. So now we only have to start and stop 10 valves. And how do we do that and not run 900 miles of wire? Well, you run a solar panel and a battery, and that's the system, and it turns the valves on and off based on a timer. The cool thing about the timer system is that it is DC powered. It runs on solar power, and when it's running, you can control it with your phone. So they don't have to send anybody to the park to do anything other than you go turn on the water and then turn the timer on and let it go. You can hook it through Wi-Fi directly to the weather service, and it will increase or decrease the time based upon the weather, what the weather service says is going to be the weather in your area. If it's going to get hotter, works longer. It's going to rain, shut it off. It can do that just following the weather service. So it's a very simple system, very expansive. The controller box can run over 3,000 things. So I've had that conversation with Nikki about 4 months ago. I had the conversation with Chris, about 2 months ago, and with Councilman Garner about 2 weeks after I had the conversation with Chris. So we've all talked about this. I think it's a great idea. Now we just have to sit down and do numbers. But essentially, you're eliminating 80% of all costs and 100% of payroll, because nobody has to go to the park. You just turn it on and walk away. And that's it. That's what I have.
That is an amazing system, and I've watched it work, and that's awesome.
Super. Thank you.
All right. So the next one is the Rawlins Planning Commission and Ward 3 update from Councilmember Weisenberg.
Rawlins Planning Commission have no update. This time we have not had a meeting since our last with the BLM on the city of Rawlins rezoned properties. So as far as Ward 3 update, just the water bill scenario and situation of increased. I just want to reiterate again and make this understood to the public that the water fund is an enterprise fund. It has to be self-supporting. Okay, so meaning that is the purpose for the rate increases. We have to be able to fund the projects, and not just that, but the funding that we're looking at from the USDA, I believe, requires us to have a minimum charge to get the funding. So I want the public to really be aware of it, and it's not that this council wanted to do these hikes like this. It's something that had to happen and was needed. So a little bit about an enterprise fund is you can borrow money to the enterprise fund. Absolutely can take it from the city streets department, the recreation department, or whatever you want. But the fact is, you have to pay it back. So if we took $2 million out of general fund budget and put it towards an enterprise fund, we have to take that as a loan to the enterprise fund and repay that back. So without any kind of rate increase and hike, you would never be able to pay that back to begin with. So it's us doing our due diligence as council members, trying to make this water scenario and the problem go away. So bear with the council, please, and understand that.
Thank you. The next one was Member at Large, Council Member Wells, who is not here, but I will add one more sentence to what you just said, Councilmember Weisenberg, and that is, this is a $30 to $50 million situation. So, you know, we have been to Cheyenne, 5 times, I think. We've come home with, you know, several $1 million. We have taken several million out of our general fund to fix these items. It's the water system's working. At the moment, I'm not going to get carried away because I don't want to jinx it, but there's a lot more to come. And it's a 100-year-old system, and in some places, and it's just going to be a while. It's going to be years to get this taken care of. All right, so thank you guys. And next thing on our agenda is reports and information. So we will hear a report from Discover Carbon County Visitor Council update. And I will turn the floor over to Leslie Jefferson.
Honorable Mayor, council members, thank you for having us. I just have a brief update, but I'm going to let Mary Pat give you, she's your wonderful representative. She's been working hard on a project, and she's going to give you an update on that project.
Okay, my husband was the bicycler, I'm the hiker. And so I've been really trying to get a bicycle trail between Rawlins and Walcott Junction. And I've been told no, 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 no. We've applied for 2 grants to do a feasibility study. We've been turned down twice. However, we've received some destination development monies, and we do have the money now to get the feasibility study done. We're looking at probably $28 million to do it, but that's just what we've heard from other people. So we are really working on that and hoping, you know, it may not happen in my lifetime, but hopefully it will happen. And
that's awesome.
Exciting. So we also have a couple other projects. We did apply for the Wyoming Office of Tourism destination development grant funding. We qualified for $300,000. There's 3 major projects. One is the Fossil Cabin. I don't know how many of you know about the Fossil Cabin. It's 13 miles east of Medicine Bow. We are actually coming alongside a group of people that donated and are trying to get that going since 2018. So we asked for additional funding to get that moved. So they're actually packing the house out right now, or the cabin out, so it can be moved. So we got a grade. It will be adjacent to the Medicine Bow Museum. UP has offered that money. Other funders were Rocky Mountain Power. Rita Sondergaard made a huge donation herself to get this done. So we're just coming alongside and assisting in that project. Not only will it be a great asset for Carbon County, but Wyoming itself. I don't know how many people have driven by. It's in shambles, basically. We're just trying to resurrect that and have that part of history in Medicine Bow. The second one, before I introduce you to Cindy, is the Avalanche Forecast Center or Observatory. We had applied for over $300,000 grant, or I should say the sheriff had. That was declined. So as a board, what we decided is we could come alongside and ask for funding to fund anything that was necessary on that application except for salaries or employee. So I'm excited to say we're working on it. Sheriff Backen he's got national contacts now. It looks like we're going to have an observatory first before it becomes a center, but hopefully we'll be able to light up the Snowy Range and Battle Pass Range. I don't know if you've looked at avalanche stuff, but our area is always gray, so we want to light that up in the winter. So without further ado, we are doing a destination development specialist. What I determined when I was doing the Tourism Master Plan Roadshow, I don't know if you remember me coming out, and I determined that our board was very focused on one avenue, and we found out very quickly that each community has their own unique needs and wants and desires and how they view themselves and how we could come alongside and assist them. So we did ask for funding for a destination development specialist. We did hire Cindy Luce. She's out of Saratoga. If you got my song is, the money is collected in Carbon County. Let's try to keep it in Carbon County. We're very tight on what we can use our money on. So this was a great investment, I think, and I will let her tell you exactly what she's going to do with each of our 11 communities.
Honorable Mayor and members of the council, thank you for having me tonight. I am Cindy Luce, and as Leslie said, Discover Carbon County has finished their tourism master plan. They have hired me to implement the strategic objectives of the master plan in each of the 11 communities in the county. So tonight I'm here to introduce myself to you and to let you know that Discover Carbon County is coming on as a partner to assist with improving your visitor experience and other tourism-related projects. The first phase of the implementation is the research phase. Over the next several weeks, I'll be collecting data to assess your community's image, reputation, experiences, and assets. There will be a resident survey across the county with questions about the visitor experience, quality of life, and a few open-ended questions. The survey will be out soon, and it will run through the end of October. And then I will come back to you in probably late November, early December, and I will share that data with you. From there, interest groups will be forming in each community to help us find the gaps in the visitor experience. Ideally, these groups should include a representative from the council, your Discover Carbon County representative, business and attractions that rely on tourism, long-time residents, and those that have moved here recently, youth and young adults. To be very clear, this is an opportunity
for residents to come together and talk about what they value about your community, and to discuss ideas to improve the quality of life and the visitor experience. It's also an opportunity to discuss what should be preserved and left untouched. With your help, we will be able to reveal what makes each community in our county distinctive and special, which will help Discover Carbon County communicate each location's competitive identity. There's no cost to you to take advantage of this opportunity. In fact, there are some funds for tourism-related projects. This is a really exciting opportunity, and I'm happy to be of assistance and work with the people of Rawlins. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for us?
A million of them, but I'm sure as time goes by, you will fill in the dots.
Okay.
All right.
Feel free to call anytime.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for what you do. We
Thank you.
appreciate you. Thank you, Chris. I have a card for Mary Pat. This is in appreciation of your service from the city staff as well as the council. And I always forget to hand them out. I'm sorry, but thank you so much for what you do. We appreciate you a lot. All right. The next thing on our agenda is city manager and staff reports. And so I will turn the floor over to you, Tom.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, and members of the council. To begin my report tonight, I'd like to invite Cody Dill to come up, our Public Works Director. And he has an update for council on the lead and copper rule that we have our inventory that's due.
Honorable Mayor and Council, just wanted to give you guys a quick update. We're coming up to our October 16th deadline for our lead and copper rule and getting our initial inventories in. The city is working with Lisa Malone from EA, and the state has hired EA to help out municipalities through the process. And so the city has gotten their initial first inventory put in. We are still working on trying to get the residents to help us out with getting some of the residential service lines inventoried. So working with Myra Miller and Bud Demick, Myra has put together another letter that will be going out to our citizens to see if we can't get one more big push on getting some citizens to participate in the survey. They can go online to the link in the letter, whyriskit.com. And we're just asking everybody they can to participate in it, one big push until the October 16th. After that, we're still not 100% sure how we move forward in, like a percentage, because there is a bunch of unknowns that there is in the city. That'll be residential side and city side. But how we move forward with the EPA, that's kind of how we're going to work it out in the future, and what will be determined after the October 16th deadline, to basically see where each city is sitting at as far as their knowledge on the systems. So just wanted to give you a quick update on that and see if anybody has any questions on it.
I don't have any questions, but I would encourage the people that are listening to get that survey, do whatever it takes to fill that out, to take the load off of the city crew and put them in a better, safer situation.
Yes, I think what the EPA is trying to do is do a complete inventory. So eventually we're going to know what everything is in every single city, but this will help us eliminate from coming and knocking on your door and bugging people in the future, depending on how much or what percentage they want us to go on the unknowns going into the future. So, thank you.
Thank you, Cody.
Thank you, Cody. The City of Rawlins has scheduled our joint meeting with the town of Sinclair And we have scheduled that for Tuesday, October 22nd at 5 p.m. And we do not have the location for that, but if you could get that on your calendar, we will let you know in upcoming meetings where that will be.
I'm sorry, Tom, could you repeat the date and time?
Yes, it is October 22nd at 5 p.m.
Thank you.
And it's the City of Rawlins' turn to host that, so it'll be in one of our city facilities. Staff is working hard on the ordinance for the FEMA flood zone. We were not ready this week for a work session yet, but we will schedule for October 1st at the council meeting to have a work session on the FEMA flood zone and especially the ordinance that is associated with that. So we encourage residents that have an interest in the flood zone to attend that meeting, and it'll be at 6 p.m. on October 1st. Brownfield's RFQP has been issued, and all of the proposals are due to the city this Thursday, September 19th at 2 p.m. At that time, we will open the proposals to ensure they are complete. And then we will put together a review team that will go through those proposals, and if we need to do interviews with the different contractors, that'll occur the following week. And our hope is to bring a proposal to the second meeting in October on that contractor on Brownfield. This weekend, by way of just information, the Wyoming High School Golf State Championship will be held at Rochelle Ranch. So we are able this year to host the state golf. If you'd like to go out and watch that, that will be fun. Residents are still able to drop off Halloween costumes at different locations until Friday, October 4th. There are about 30 different boxes around the city. The city facilities that have those drop-offs are at City Hall, the police department, and the recreation center. Those are the ones that the city has, but there's also 27 others around. Tomorrow night is the Carbon County Council of Governments meeting at the Hanna Town Hall. And that meeting begins at 6 p.m. And that will run probably a couple hours to near 8 o'clock. And that's everything I have to report tonight.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is the city attorney report, if you have one.
I do. Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. The council has asked me to provide a report and update regarding the city parcel from the BLM. So I have had the opportunity to conduct some considerable research on the parcel. I utilized land records with the county clerk and recorder, the land patent information available online with the Department of the Interior. I've researched the city historical departmental files, and I have had an opportunity to meet with the realty specialist at the BLM here in Rawlins. This fills in a lot of the gaps in the history that we have, and it's one of those things that it's one of those sometimes out of sight, out of mind, and so there are gaps develop in the history, in the understanding of that parcel. So the city of Rawlins hold a restricted patent to the land contained in on the south side of town, which has been the subject of a rezone application by the city that was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission and recommended for rezone from an R75 to a C2 zoning. The parcel is comprised of land conveyed both by the Wyoming Highway Commission, but the majority was obtained through the patent through the United States Department of the Interior, BLM. The total area comprises of approximately 20 acres. So I'm going to give you some background, and this kind of sets the stage. So we've got, everybody's fully apprised of the history of this parcel. So in February 1966, the city's population at that time was about 8,900 residents. And the city was experiencing issues with the location of the city's streets department. Back then, it was located between 5th and 6th Street on Buffalo, which is a block behind where City Hall is right now. There were documented issues with traffic. Also, materials were kept there, the wind was blowing them away, and it was a bit of a mess. So the city filed an application with the BLM to relocate the streets department facilities pursuant to the Recreation and Public Purposes Act of 1926. The act authorizes the sale or lease of public lands for recreational or public purposes to state and local governments, as well as to qualified nonprofit organizations. The application sought to utilize that vacant BLM parcel located on the south side of town, but it is within city limits. The city's plan for the rectangular parcel proposed fencing off the entire parcel with a 6-foot-tall chain link fence bounded by Donnell Street to the north and Highway 71 to the south, and bounded from the east and west by approximately Bennett to Jackson Streets for the placement of a shop for the streets department and storage of heavy equipment and materials. At that time, the city paid $50 to the BLM as purchase money, and it was based on the assessed value of the parcel determined by the Secretary of the Interior. During the BLM initial review period, it was also discovered the Highway Department had a right-of-way, so that's how the Highway Commission portion came into it. The application was ultimately approved, and the plan that the city had provided to the BLM was approved, and the BLM, the Department of the Interior, granted a patent to the city. And as I said, it was restricted. It was to use the land as the BLM approved, which was for the city's streets department, shop, and yard. The title was limited. The land could not be sold or used for any other purpose than for which it had been given. And if it became apparent that another public purpose would benefit the city more than the streets department, shop, and yard, then the city would need to submit a new plan for development. And so the patent also reserves a right-of-way to the BLM for ditches and canals, and also reserves mineral rights to the BLM. Importantly, on this patent, there were no time limits imposed for when the development had to occur. The city did not ultimately utilize that parcel to relocate the city street department. Instead, the shop and yard were relocated to different portions of the city, and the parcel has remained mostly vacant. So fast forward about 11 years, the city received a letter from the BLM after conducting a compliance check and saw, hey, the city's not using this, but they did see there had been some use there, and requested the city to update the BLM on the use, or if maybe the city sought to relinquish the land. Later that year, the city responded and advised the BLM that after budgeting, the city was looking to construct a water department shop on the site. However, after that discussion, no plans or application for change were submitted to the BLM. And the underlying patent for the plan related to the streets department remains in place. In 1980, the city's Parks and Rec department was experiencing constraints with the sports programs due to insufficient fields in town. They were trying to juggle scheduling of the fields around town with Parks and Rec's programs around high school and middle school athletic practices and events. And the city was also, at that time, looking to become a forerunner in sustainable energy and had applied for a grant through the U.S. Department of Energy for a solar greenhouse. And part of that, they were proposing to build a sports complex on the site with the greenhouse, and also to better serve the residents of the south side. So as a result of all of the planning and development, the city submitted an application for change of use of the patented land. And the proposal was a 3-phase development plan that would go from 1980 through 1986 for these different fields. It was primarily 2 ball fields, a greenhouse, green space, parking. After initial review, the BLM found that there were some insufficiencies to the development Namely, it lacked some sewer and sanitary water infrastructure, and requested the city to update the plan. Eventually, there was not a lot of movement on that plan, and in 1983, the city withdrew its application, and the withdrawal was accepted by the BLM, so the 1967 approved plan of development, despite the vacancy of the land, remained in effect. In 1985, the La Junta Club approached the city about leasing the land to construct a neighborhood community center for use by the Southside residents. During that same time frame, Child Development Center and Project Reach also approached the city to develop the site for their facilities. In early to mid 1986, then Community Development Director worked with those organizations and came up with a plan, a pretty comprehensive plan with some pretty detailed schematics to address the ideas and the concerns, and was shuffling those around between all the stakeholders. After working with the BLM and discussing the thoughts, the BLM advised that this was not going to be a feasible project because those different organizations were considered private, namely the La Junta Club, and wouldn't qualify under the public requirements of the BLM patent. So ultimately, a change of plan was never submitted, and the 1967 approved plan remained in force. In 1989, there was a discussion about soccer fields development back to develop the parcel for soccer fields. At that time, there was a massive interest in the soccer programs, and news articles and newspaper clippings show that there were over 500 local kids participating in the program at that time. Again, and despite the discussions, no applications were ever submitted to the BLM, so again, that remained in place. In 2005, Pronghorn Pride, which was a committee, I believe it was developed under the Chamber of Commerce, and they began exploring the construction of a Pronghorn Visitor Center, which would have been an interpretive site and museum to utilize the parcel. They'd worked with some architecture and design firms to kind of develop what the concept would be, but that project also fizzled out and did never go much further than that. So presently, the land remains vacant and undeveloped and is still subject to the 1967 patent. So there's a few issues. So there's the restrictions that we discussed, that I discussed. They can only be used as approved. And despite the absence of any time limitation for development, that doesn't preclude the BLM from coming in and making a determination that the land isn't being used as approved and could declare the terms of the patent terminated in whole or in part, which would require the city to either revert the parcel back to the BLM, or the Secretary of the Interior could instead of forfeiture, require the city to pay the difference, and this is interesting language, to pay the difference between the price paid, $50, for the land and 50% of the fair market value of the parcel as of the date of the patent. So in 1967, it was $50, so 50% is $25. It's been 57 years since the patent was issued. However, it's unclear if the payment referenced refers to rent or purchase price. So that's unclear. But in Tom and I calculations about the number, it's a very reasonable sum. It's about $233. What that forfeiture payment, how the Secretary of the Interior could possibly make it, require it, whether for rent or payment, is not totally clear yet. As a side note, in terms of the restrictions, there has been informal recreational uses by the residents of the area and of Rawlins, and this has not been addressed in the BLM or the city record. However, under a technical analysis, allowing residents to recreate on the parcel in any form, including the use of recreational and ATV vehicles, hiking, or any other activities, are technically violations of the patent, since those were not the approved uses. The city could still, if the city does want to continue using that for another public purpose, the modifications for use, those applications are still available to the city to pursue. Additionally, in 2008, the BLM included that entirety of the BLM owned parcel, excluding the city patented parcel, is included on the BLM's disposal list. Because the subject parcel, the city parcel, and those immediately adjacent BLM parcels are within city limits, the BLM has determined that they are difficult and uneconomic to manage and has made them available for purchase. The purchase process is open to all United States citizens and entities, including the city, and there is no formal bidding or advertisement process other than knowing where to look. If a purchase option would be to be pursued, so the requirements of the purchase, some of the requirements include obtaining an appraisal of the property and a final price determination by the Secretary of the Interior pursuant to fair market value. There are some other requirements, but I'm not completely sure on what those are. I have put in a request to the BLM to understand what those are so that the city is fully apprised. And there are also some other portions of BLM property that are for sale that include the property immediately south of Gun Club Road, south of where the current shooting range is, and a small parcel immediately north of the landfill. Zoning is another question that has come up, and the city's BLM parcel is currently zoned R75. While it's unclear when the area was zoned in this manner, the current zoning ordinances were codified in 1989 under Ordinance 9-89, which replaced earlier versions used by the city. Neither the older nor current ordinances provide restrictions regarding city use or placement of government facilities, regardless of whether they're administrative or operational, and they're not limited to any zone. A review of other municipal codes in the state point to numerous exemptions for government property, generally allowing government facilities to be located in any area of town. In review of the Rawlins Municipal Code and of the historical context, there's strong indication to support an interpretation that government uses, whether administrative or operational, are exempt under our code. An exception to this exemption is applied only to emergency services as set forth in Rawlins Municipal Code 1928-020, number 24, emergency services, police, fire, or ambulance stations. The obvious implications for this limitation are the disruptive issues with the noise of sirens at all hours of the day and night, particularly in residential areas. As a side note, the 2 Rawlins fire departments are in residential zones, and they were built prior to the current codification and the limitations, so they are grandfathered in. The record also demonstrates that since 1966, when the city proposed placing the streets department facilities adjacent to residential property south of Donnell Street, restrictions and the zoning and placement of the facilities were known and considered. Furthermore, the zoning restrictions remained known when the city ordinances were codified in 1989. Currently, there are, within the city of Rawlins, the indication that there be no specific, that there be exemptions for government buildings are shown by numerous location and placement of government facilities. These include the C4 building for the county that's on South Side, that's located in the middle of a residential zone. The city administrative offices in the Carbon building and the Carbon building, it's actually a C1 zone. The Carbon County Emergency Management offices are on Murray Street, again, a residential zone. The Public Works Department is in an R75 zone as well. So there are strong indicators that the intention by the governing body has consistently been to provide exemptions to government facilities. Therefore, any zone changes where the parcel is located would not impact the city's ability to use the parcel for the streets department or other government uses. This complies with the zone change recommendation from Planning and Zoning following their August 13th meeting that was forwarded to council for approval. And so a secondary impact of the rezoning for the area would be continuity of zoning in the area, as the surrounding BLM parcels have already been zoned to C2. The BLM has also indicated to me that there has been a third-party interest in purchasing portions of those parcels for commercial development. So final item on this is I have spoken with Cody Dill with the Streets Department and filled him in on the historical background, how the designation of this parcel for the Streets Department. And he's also expressed interest in potentially using this in the future to store materials. There's currently a location where the city is storing materials pursuant to an MOU with the county, and that's immediately east of the detention center, between the detention center and the recycling center. And there are some portions, there is a potential to relocate those materials over to that parcel, and that would comply with the approved land use with the BLM. Additionally, that parcel would provide a great place to move snow during the winter by the Streets Department, particularly for that area of town, and will mitigate a lot of the back and forth of the streets crews having to move it to other sides of town. I have drafted a memo of these materials, as well as made copies of all the materials for inclusion in the city attorney's office, and a comprehensive collection of the materials for the city clerk's file. And I am happy to forward a copy of a memo I have drafted to any council members who would so like to review it in more depth.
Councilmember Lumen.
If you move materials to that area, you would need a fence, right?
Yes.
So kind of protection from the public just going in.
And it is approved use to place a 6-foot tall fence around that.
And that's already
parcel.
approved. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Weisenberg.
So with this being known, do we need to put this on the next agenda to untable it and more than likely have it killed or a rezone change at this point in time, or does this need to go back to the original zoning of what that property was before? It wasn't even ever zoned prior to that.
It was zoned prior to that.
It was.
And there are no restrictions in the BLM patent regarding zoning. The only limitation is that the use of the parcel complies with the city zoning, and the zoning can be pretty much anything for the administrative or operational use, with the exception of fire, police, and ambulance services.
So I'm to understand that to use it for the street departments, we do not have to rezone it?
Does not need to be rezoned, or it could be rezoned. There is no limitation where the streets department shop or storage can be placed within the city.
But if we don't have to rezone it, then, as Councilman Weisenberg brought up, should we untable that issue to kill it?
You can either untable it to kill it, or you can let it die on the vine.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Panita.
You're welcome.
All right. Next thing on our agenda is direction from City Council to City Manager. Does anybody have anything? Councilman Garner?
Tom, I just had a question. I was looking at the purchase policy, and I think it was last year, Wyoming changed the contract limit from $35,000 to $75,000. Should we look at upgrading or updating our purchase policy to match that, or what are your thoughts on that? Or would you like to look at it and then get back?
Honorable Mayor, Councilman Gardner, I think we need to take a look at the purchasing policy. My own personal thoughts are, for our purpose with the size of city we are, that 75,000 could be a little bit high for us to go up to. So I'm more comfortable as a personal opinion, you know, down between the 35 and 50,000. But we need to look at that purchasing policy in depth. Many parts of that are outdated.
Okay.
So staff will prepare a draft of that for council consideration.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes,
Just
sir.
one more. Panita, I had a question. With the report that you just gave us tonight, would it be possible in the future, could you upload those to, or give those to Lynn to be uploaded for our meetings so that we can view those documents ahead? Just with, and then citizens can do the same thing. So prior to the meeting, if we wanted to skim through it or, you know, read through it, and then if we had questions, we could be prepared when we come to the meeting.
Certainly.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
May I make one comment? Or
Yeah, come up to the podium and we know you, but state your name and sign in and such for the records.
Wendy Newbrough, 631 Donnell Street. This is regarding what Ms. Mayberry just talked about. So I do have a copy of the management plan that was approved back in the 1960s, and number 4 of it, and I just want to make sure the board and everybody is aware that number 4 of that management plan is it says to maintain the lands, improvements, and facilities in such a manner that will lend itself to and not distract from the natural beauty of the area. So I just want to make sure you guys are aware of that part. And it also goes on to say to prohibit the use of any erection of advertising displays or signs on lands visible from the Interstate 80 or bypass. So just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I'll actually speak to the signs issue. Around that era is also when the federal highway beautification projects were going on. And so there are limitations in regard to signage visible from the highways. It includes billboards is one of the big things that is addressed with that. It also includes obstruction of visible junkyards within 1,000 feet of any federally funded highways.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else? Okay, we will move on to new business. The minutes, Councilman Weisenberg.
I move to approve the August 30th, 2024 special city council meeting minutes as presented.
Second. Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the August 30th, 2024 special city council meeting minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 4 yeas and 2 abstain. The 2 abstain was Councilmember Gardner and Councilmember Lumen.
Okay, I will, the next thing on our item, on our agenda, is minutes of September 3rd. Vice Mayor Sanger.
I move to approve the September 3rd, 2024 regular city council meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the September 3rd, 2024 regular city council meeting minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 5 yeas and 1 abstain. The 1 abstain is Councilmember Lumen.
All right, the next thing on our agenda is item C, Councilman Weisenberg.
I move to approve the resolution authorizing the city of Rawlins, Wyoming to join with other political subdivisions of the state of Wyoming as a participant in the Wyoming Cooperative Liquid Asset Security System, Wyoming class, to pool funds for investment.
Second.
There's Been a motion made and seconded to approve the resolution authorizing the City of Rawlins, Wyoming to join with other political subdivisions of the state of Wyoming as a participant in the Wyoming Cooperative Liquid Assets Security Systems, Wyoming class, to pool funds for investment. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas.
All right, thank you. Next thing on our agenda is item D. I would entertain a motion. Vice Mayor Sanger.
I move to approve the resolution authorizing the city manager to establish and oversee an urban deer advisory group regarding management of the urban deer population within the city limits of Rawlins in the most humane, safe, and economically viable manner, effective through the end of fiscal year 2025.
Second.
There has been a motion made and seconded to approve the resolution authorizing the city manager to establish and oversee an urban deer advisory group regarding management of the urban deer population within the city of Rawlins in the most humane, safe, and economical viable manner, effective through the end of the fiscal year 2025. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas.
All right, thank you. The next thing on the agenda is item E. It's a discussion for holiday closures for the City of Rawlins employees. And Council Member Tanya Lumen will be the presenter.
Thank you. I know for the 4th of July, we had a meeting on a Tuesday to decide to give an extra day of holiday on that July 5th, July 4th. So I just wanted to see, this year, Christmas is on a Wednesday. Would it be possible to give the 24th or the 26th off to the employees, or half a day? I would just like to have more time for the employees to know what days they have off rather than that week. Can you give us some information as far as how much the July 5th, at making that a vacation day, costs the city?
Yes, Honorable Mayor, Councilman Newman. The additional days off to staff, okay, the way that we view that is, within the organization is about half of the employees, roughly, are work as first responders, public safety, streets, public works, and they don't get that time off even if we classify it as a holiday. And so in those situations, we just add 8 hours onto their check because they usually have to work that anyway. And so the cost of that would be for for, like I said, half the employees would be the 8 hours additional pay in that. Talking with staff, a recommendation could be that maybe they get an additional floating holiday, and that if they would like to take that day off, that they could use their floating holiday. But as an organization, we would stay open that day so that we could offer those services. So by just having a couple extra days at that time really doesn't ensure people getting the time off from work to enjoy that. Just because of the nature of the work that we do, that, you know, police have to be on the streets, fire has to be on duty and those things. And so we could do whatever the pleasure of council is on that. Our recommendation this morning was possibly an extra floating holiday for administrative staff to be able to take it, and then other staff could take that day as they see fit, outside of the holiday, of course, if they have to work the holiday on their shift.
And that floating holiday would only be available for 2024, correct?
It'd be for that, yeah, I believe it'd be for that fiscal year.
Oh, okay.
Could be a calendar year, it depends on the cycle that we decide.
One other thought, looking at the, you know, some of the things that have been done in the past, because I did get with the staff and look at that, Tom, to see, you know, how that went. Sometimes with the county, they would offer, let half the staff off the day before and the other half the day after. But it's still, with the majority of what we do as a city, doesn't ensure that they'll have time off because they're first responders and whatnot. The other thought was to allow a half a day before Christmas, get off at noon, 1 o'clock, I mean, and the same with New Year's Eve. And I don't know what everybody else's thoughts are, but that was kind of what I was leaning towards. Councilman Weisenberg?
Tom, in our policy for our employee handbook policies is for the holiday schedule, is it day before and day after, or day before and day of for Christmas? Because I do remember making that recommendation during the employee handbook discussions and stuff. So I didn't know if it was the day.
Honorable Mayor, Councilman Weisenberg, my understanding of our handbook that currently governs us is that it is just Christmas Day, New Year's Day in there, that it does not have, you know, the day before, after, or like the 4th of July when it falls. Usually we have come to council to ask for those days off. Staff would be open to looking at the next calendar year and having council approve those holidays. That would be a little bit outside of what the employee handbook currently has, but we could always expand that by a day and then, you know, offer that at certain times that we would know at the beginning of the year, if it is the day after the 4th of July, the day before, so that we can ensure that we have all the services that we need.
I can say that since there'll be a turnover in council one way or another, I would like to come to an agreement about this Christmas and this New Year's and let the new council decide what they want to do. I don't know if that seems reasonable or not, but that's kind of what I would like to see happen. Councilman Weisenberg?
I'm a firm believer, I mean, obviously work in private industry my whole life, right, not government jobs. I am a firm believer that the way it is done most of the time in a lot of private industries is Thanksgiving, you get the Thanksgiving and the day after, right? Christmas, you get the day before and Christmas, and then New Year's, you just get New Year's. I'm a firm believer in that aspect of things. That's what I would like to see if we could do that.
But not all.
And the other thing is we got to remember that we're talking, this is in the middle of a week, and we can't close our government offices for a long time. So, I mean, I'm just a firm believer in, like I said, how that private industries work.
Well, we can't close. I don't think legally we can close like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We cannot do 5 days in a row, and nor would it be reasonable to do that. But
So what are everybody's thoughts about giving them a floating holiday where they could use it then?
I think that
So
might
it's
not
staggered,
be I think that
right?
might not be a bad idea for the fact that that way not everybody has it off and
Right.
services can continue. You know, like with, yeah.
And some people might want to take it like on the Friday or the Monday to travel for Christmas and be back. And
If their superior can
Yeah.
do without them, yes. What do you think about that?
I don't have any problem with that.
Councilman Garner?
I like the floating holiday.
Councilman?
I like the idea.
Is it one floating holiday for all?
We currently have one floating holiday. If you added one, this would be a second.
So what I'm saying is, are we adding just one floating holiday for Christmas time and New Year's time, and Thanksgiving time? It's just one floating holiday day?
Just be one floating
Pick whatever day you want it to be.
You can
From,
pick your
okay.
day. Yep. So we will draft a resolution. Our employee handbook says that we would adopt that through resolution, so.
And currently, isn't it current in our employee handbook that the Thursday of Thanksgiving, the Friday, is part of what the handbook says? That
Yes.
Friday's already
That is already in
because that
place.
holiday is consistently Thursday.
Correct.
yes.
Okay.
And then that will get us through the end of the year. And like I say, then the new council can set the year's policy.
Yep, we will
That
bring
seems
in
fair.
resolution.
Okay.
And just to preface, I was just looking up the holiday, and what it says in the employee manual is, holidays which occur on a Saturday shall be observed on the preceding Friday. Holidays that occur on a Sunday shall be observed on the following Monday. The council may approve other holidays by resolution. So exactly as has been recommended. And also, holidays can shift from, during different days of the week, which is probably the most likely grounds why this was included this way.
But as we go through the policies of the new HR manual, policy by policy, we could
Modify it.
it and strengthen it up so we wouldn't have to do a resolution every time. It'd just be set. Thank you.
Okay. That seems very reasonable to me. All right. So, we done there? Okay, next thing on our agenda is an executive session. And just one moment, let me get that up. Councilman Weisenberg?
I move to enter into executive session at 8:55 PM per Wyoming Statute 16-4-405 to consider or receive any information classified as confidential by law on matters concerning litigation to which the governing body is a party or proposed litigation to which the governing body may be a party.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to enter into executive session at 8:55. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas.
All right, thank you.
You have thicker paper.
Not till next time. Yeah.
And I also do, I have Dog West.
Oh, yeah, you got the.
I remember talking about
holidays being like that. He knows the council.
I was gonna say. Got myself, that floating holiday. It's the same thing, it will,
But it
so
would be,
everybody ain't off, you know what I
it
mean?
needs to be on the end.
You're not gonna get all of them to pick one day.
And I thought it was one that we were working
Well, when the supervisor won't be able to allow.
They need to put it in that resolution, how it needs to be put in your calendar year.
Right.
Every holiday is calendar year.
What's it? It's the,
So, like, all the, just saying, that's
I'll mention that as I walk by, make sure it's calendar year on the
Yeah.
resolution.
documentation that we could easily search up.
Yes,
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, and then if you ever have questions you want to do some research, feel free to text me. Oh, that's the city district. Yeah, and now we don't have the data.
Okay.
They're still working on the application.
Okay, awesome. Thank
So I
you.
have two things.
And just so everybody knows, the lights stay live. So we're still on our.
Oh, gotcha. Yes, will do. Okay.
So if they were to take a day of New Year's, it'd have to be New Year's Eve. Correct.
And obviously
Right. Right, but we can also, I mean, because we didn't get clarification, so that floating holiday isn't only just one year. It can be, less like, I don't wanna take it out of Christmas or New Year's. I'll just take it as a regular holiday. So it needs to be used by the.
yes, we could have done one decide from that.
They can decide.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
It's just all busy afternoon.
In
fact, I was told the ambulance from my 40 back to the ER. It's been crazy, so.
Mayor, anybody going in? Just
I think
I do have two things, two short
right.
things.
Okay.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
How are you, Chief? Good, how are you? Your lawn looks great.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Putting on blocks.
You're doing my part. I'm just saying. Oh, yeah.
Because.
Oh, my God. We used to have a lot of fun on that, so let me tell you.
Exactly.
Let me just get this.
3 days already.
Oh, no.
I'm off the rest of it. I'm off from the time I walk out that door over there.
Okay, I didn't know what you.
It could sit in my truck, I don't care.
No, but I did see.
You did not see that I would go Monday afternoon too.
Okay, so we got one.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, Monday afternoon. Just to begin with some stuff. Yeah. I didn't go so well. Not what Brandon.
It would make it so that everybody's on the same page. That's why I was thinking 40 years if we can keep some staff. Some staff. That's what I was thinking.
If that happens, we're good.
We're not taking the entire organization.
Because I was sitting there. Okay, let's come up. Yeah, this is when we'll play.
We want to
Give each other a hard time on it.
someone else can take 40 years, 7 days, so that's exactly why we thought of it.
Well, if you're going that route, I'm all
That's
for that.
exactly what
Awesome.
we're-
I'm all for that.
We're not gonna take it all together as one part.
Because oh, hell, this will.
No, we're gonna keep the services going.
Awesome. Awesome, thanks.
All right, well, have fun.
Oh, yours?
46?
Yeah.
1463? No.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you.
Keep an eye out.
Okay, sounds great.
Do you go by van?
Okay, got it.
Doesn't matter.
you need?
We'll walk back out.
Oh, you guys are all coming out.
We're done. They fired us. We'll all go home. Oh.
You're about to shut your bottle off, dude.
All right. I hear whistling.
Steven, it's easy to get her done, guys. We're gonna build these snowflakes. I'm gonna water all these spots. How do you get it done?
Do you guys know, as the IT department said, whether or not they're gonna disable this other program that constantly pops up and says it's out of date?
Can you leave your laptop? Because mine was the same thing, my laptop, so they tried to get everybody and some of them
Oh.
it just didn't read.
Pops up every time you turn it on.
If you can leave it, or you can drop it off on Thursday, whatever, I don't want to take it away from you, but yes,
I'll leave.
whatever you'd like to do.
Yeah.
I had the same thing, I actually had it on my both computers.
Because every time I see it, I take a screenshot, then I email it, and then I just been ignoring it, so.
I do too, I've got the same thing.
Do you?
Yeah, we need to pile all
I've
the
seen-
laptops that he set up.
I've seen the other ones running, and so I'm not worried about it, just.
How old are the laptops?
They are probably, they're probably about 5 years old. I don't know
They
exactly,
were
I
purchased when I was here, so 4.
Okay.
We got 10
Council used to have
Technology.
iPads and
We
then
had
they went to
iPads.
laptop.
Huh?
We had iPads.
Yeah, they had iPads and they went to laptop, so they're not that old.
They're not super.
They're less.
I think they switched right when I come along. Councilman Weisenberg?
I move to come out of executive session per Wyoming Statute 16-4-405 at 9:16 PM.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Been a motion made and seconded to come out of executive session per Wyoming Statute 16-4-405 at 9:16 PM. Any discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed, the motion passes with 6 yeas.
Was there anything discussed in, are there any objections of matters discussed in executive session? Seeing none. Councilman Weisenberg?
I move to approve the executive session minutes of September 3rd, 2024, regular city council meeting as presented.
Second.
Been a motion made and seconded to approve the executive session minutes of September 3rd, 2024, regular city council meeting as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 5 yeas and 1 abstain. The 1 abstain with Councilmember Lumen.
All right, thank you. I want to thank everybody for showing up to WHAM last night. It was great to have full representation, and thank you, Lynn, for setting up the room and having it all ready and taking down the tables and everything. It's much appreciated. And with that, is there anything else that needs to be discussed on the floor? Hearing nothing, we will adjourn, and the next meeting will be October 1st, 2024, at a regular city council meeting. Thank you all.
We are not going back. Huh?
What did you wish you could?
No.
No. 3 months.
Is there anything sensitive? Because I know how to turn stuff off.
You can't. All right.
Okay. That's why I was asking. I was just.
Well, thank you.
Can you put this,
I will send you the information.
What do I do with this, Steve? I forgot. Give it to
You just sign the bottom and then give it back to me.
Okay. Would you pass that to Steve?
yes, pass it to Steve, I suppose.
Here's these proclamations to Lynn. Or also.
It's not
Oh, there was one thing. Oh, well. Oh, maybe that next time. Oh, this is Myra's.